Hello and welcome to the Visibility, Influence and Impact vlog and podcast. I'm your host, Jay Mackay from Jay Mackay Communications, marketing consultant and coach who works with people across the world to build the business of their dreams. Today, it is my pleasure to be talking to Jessica Marx, named top female coach by Yahoo Finance and a member of the Forbes Coaches and Business Council. Prior to launching her current business, Jessica was overseeing national sales and corporate strategy for a multi-billion-dollar startup responsible for managing over $100 million in budgets and over 500 employees. Jessica has been there and done that when it comes to business, and I'm so excited to be speaking to you today, Jessica.
Thank you, Jane. I'm excited to be here.
So tell me about your business journey and, how you got to where you are right now. Obviously, it's been quite a ride.
Yes. So I was obviously in the corporate environment for over 15 years, and the last 8 of that was with a healthcare company startup where I held the title of the national sales and corporate executive role. And as I was there, I was working like most corporate executives, easily 100-hour work weeks, traveling all over the United States. And it was only sustainable for so long. And when I got pregnant with my twins in 2017, I kind of came to the realization that that pace was no longer going to suit me. And as I had grown with that company and after it sold and I stayed on, I realized that I'm working with all men. And this comes really, really easy to men. And there's not enough of this information out there for women to be able to take their small businesses and scale them to this size, and in a way that really works for us, because it is different. We are moms and we are wives, and we've got a lot going on. And for some of us, it just felt like you either had to have one or the other. And so I was determined. I had my 4-month-old twins and I left that company, started at the time as just a consultant, and it very quickly grew into now we are an advisory firm and we work globally with female founded brands and help them really identify a freedom-focused lifestyle, but with a company that can be highly lucrative, both from a revenue standpoint, but also from a personal financial standpoint.
Yeah, building personal wealth in women, I think, is what's going to truly change the world.
It is. And I think that especially in right now, the female entrepreneurial space and social media and all the noise out there, so many people are talking about revenue. And I always say revenue is the participation trophy. I mean, you get it for showing up, but it's not going to change your life. What's really going to change your life is how does your business perform, and how does that performance then grow your own personal financial wealth? And are you profitable, and are you on payroll and getting owner distributions? So for us, we take a lot of women who are very talented and they've worked really hard. And if hard equaled dollars, they'd be multi-millionaires. But unfortunately, that's just not the case. So putting strategy in place that's going to help them scale.
Yeah. And that's the key. It's incredible. So you said you started off as consultancy and now you're an advisory firm. How has your business evolved, and what were the signs for you that it was time to change?
Yes. So I think one of the, and sometimes I say critical mistake, but we learn from our mistakes, was that I was coming out of this high-powered role into a space I had never been in. Corporate healthcare is very different. We didn't have social media. Nobody was dancing on TikTok at the time. And I still don't, but
a lot of pointing.
So I felt like I had to jump in at the lowest level, or I had to kind of join this girl boss babe movement that was happening. And I started to feel like, okay, this isn't for me. This isn't where I'm going to deliver the highest results. And so it took about 1.5 years of really working through that and figuring out that just because you're new to a market doesn't mean you're new to running a business or to having the knowledge and capability to help people at a higher level. And so luckily I was able to identify that pretty quickly and thought, I have to pull out of this. And I really need to be in the market where I can serve women who can not only afford me, but then can afford to implement the strategies that we're going to put into place, and that it's not a huge financial stretch. And so that was a major shift. And that's when we started working with women that were making six figures and above.
Yeah. And it's all well and good to have a strategy, but unless you have both the finances and the overcoming that fear to actually take those strategies and implement them and get over all the stuff that goes around that, it's not going to be effective. We can't do the work for you.
We cannot. And so, I mean, I will say, and I tell people all the time, especially women, I have a lot of women that come to me after they've worked with and done a deep dive into either trauma coaching or mindset or financial coaching or whatever the thing that really holds them back from an emotional perspective. And when they come to me, the magic happens, because there isn't that growth blocker in place that I'm not able to work through with them or uncover with them or spend time like we really do. And where we thrive is working with women that say, all right, I'm ready to go to that next level or 5 levels up. And I want to be in a network and have mentors and have an advisory board in my company to get me there.
Yeah, amazing. And those blockers are sometimes something we don't even know about or acknowledge, and then trying to work through that. As like, I work in marketing, and obviously you do something similar. We can't work through that for you. So it is, they say that being in business is the greatest personal growth journey that you'll go on, and getting through all of that stuff is crucial to actually building a business. And people don't often think that's relevant.
Oh, it absolutely is. And it's interesting too, because we host a retreat every year and we bring in a lot of speakers that are running 8 and some of them even 9-figure. They've sold companies for over 100 million. And the common denominator that all of us say across the board is personal development is what got us to where we were. And we're all huge advocates of have the therapist, have the life coach, have the things that are going to really support you in your personal life and help you continue to grow, because that's going to give you exponential success in your company and allow you to make decisions quicker and feel more confident and not feel like you're bringing as much baggage along with you. And that's truly where I feel like a lot of women, especially the tipping point happens, and they're able to, achieve things that they may not have thought they could achieve before that.
Yeah, it's incredible, the transformation that can happen. So you mentioned you have 4-year-old twins. How do you manage your life as an entrepreneur running your own business?
So I love this question. And it's funny because very rarely up on stage do panelists ever ask men, so how do you handle being a dad and running a company? But they always ask us, and I love it. And I love that people ask me. We actually, a lot of my advisors are moms. We have, I think, 8 or 9 kids between us, and we lead by example. So I truly believe, I think there's all this talk about balance out there. I feel like I'm on a teeter-totter. And so I tell people when I'm at work and I'm running my company, I'm running my company, whether that means I have a nanny or my kids are at preschool, I've set business hours. And so I am 100% there. I know my kids are taken care of and I can be completely present. But then the teeter-totter changes. And when I'm a mom, I'm a mom. I'm not on my phone, I'm not answering emails, I'm not taking emergency calls, and I can be fully present there and give that 100%, and not stress about the business because I have the right team in place. And so I never really look at it as like this balancing act. I more so look at it as I'm very strategic with my time and I have very strong boundaries. And so, it's not something that I would have ever achieved without a lot of personal development and somebody helping me achieve that. But now it's something that I am so wildly passionate about that we really try to drive home to our clients. You fill your calendar first with personal, and then you fill in where you're able to work and when you're going to show up your best and when you've had that morning workout or that afternoon workout or whatever it is, so that you're not constantly trying to be 50% in the business and 50% somewhere else.
Yeah, 100%. And when that was something that really changed my business, was when I went, that's it, boundaries. Like I don't work weekends, I don't work nights. If you can't fit in and around that, that's cool. I'm cool with it. And letting that go, I think that comes from our people pleasing tendencies.
Absolutely.
But it's interesting. I have just transitioned this from Smart Women Business to visibility, influence, and impact. Mm-hmm. And I do ask the male guests that question too, because we all need to care for ourselves first.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think too, you know, we've all been conditioned to believe that we're going to lose the client, or we might miss out on a lead, but in all reality, I've truly found that because we have the boundaries we do and we're very selective about the clients we take, they not only appreciate it, but they start to implement it.
Yeah.
And we have also noticed that those that don't respect boundaries don't have boundaries themselves.
No.
And so it's been a real eye-opener, but I will say, if you want to eliminate a decent amount of stress in your life, put boundaries in place.
Yeah, 100%. And I found that the best clients are the ones that really respect your boundaries. And they make for great clients. And we all know, well, you get to learn the difference between bad clients and good clients. And sometimes that's a learning curve. So what does a great day in the office look like to you?
So I will say I am very fortunate to be where I'm at now. 4 years ago, when I started this, I was the admin, the marketing, the coach, the everything, which is good, right? You got to learn it all. But now I really do. I drop my kids off at school every morning. I work out of a home office, which I absolutely love. And I purely do, for the most part, coaching. I'm on calls with clients. I am strategy mapping for them, and my team is handling everything else. And then when it comes time to do content or be the visionary, I typically check into a hotel every quarter and block 2 to 3 days and create all of that in one container. So that way I'm not constantly doing it on a day-to-day or trying to keep up or making sure that emails are drafted and things like that. So I feel like I get to work in my zone of genius, in my zone of excellence, the 3 days that I'm in the office per week. And then I'm able to fully shut it off after the office closes and go do school pickup and be the mom again.
Yeah, fun. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love the batching of content instead of the ad hoc content is so powerful, because when you're in that creation mode and you get in flow, it's so much more efficient.
It is. And we are typically planning anywhere from 3 to 6 months out. So there is never really a fire drill, or we're never just deciding to launch something or open enrollment to a program. We have that mapped out for the year. So if I know that something's kicking off in September, October, I'm working on that now. And I think this is really important for especially moms, because I always say, my business is the controllable, my life is the variable. You never know when a child's going to get sick, or something's going to happen, or whatever it may be. But as long as I know what the business is doing and I can control that everything's running on timeline, it allows for things to come up. And then I'm able to say, it's okay, because we've already done it. It's ready to go. There's no last minute stress of things not happening.
Yeah. And controlling the things you can control is the key, because everything else is chaotic. You can't control it.
Yes.
So what does being visible in your business mean to you?
I truly enjoy being the face of the brand. And I think that a lot of some of the bigger name coaches are the face of the brand, but then once you get through the funnel and you pay money, they're gone.
Yeah.
Or you're working with very junior level, or you train the trainer type models. And that is just one thing that I will not do in this company. And so what you see, how I show up on social media or on a podcast or on a stage, that's how I coach in real life. That's my personality in real life. And all of our programs have me in them. And I would say in all of our programs, I'm 80% of them. And then we bring in our team of advisors as well. But it's important to me that I build really strong relationships, or that people feel like they know me, or they know my style, and they know the results that we get before they fill out an application. Because I do think there's so many different types of styles, and through our online visibility, sometimes somebody can come across in a completely different way, and then you get in a program or start working with them and you realize this isn't what I thought it was going to be. And we never want our clients to feel that way.
It's something that I speak about with my clients, is the values match and the personalities match are so important, because they're how you show up, they're how you work with your clients, and that's when it feels really good.
Yes.
And if there's a misalignment there, it's not fun for anybody involved.
No.
So how do you fully show up as yourself in your business? You've spoken about how you are, you what you get is what you see is what you get. It's very early in the morning here. So is there any other way you bring yourself into your business?
Yeah. So I think that it's easy for me to show up to an extent. So I will say, obviously, I'd never had social media until starting this company. And I've definitely grown with it. And I've had the first year where I was kind of hesitant to get on it, was nerve-wracking doing stories. Then I got super comfortable and it became one of our highest lead generators. And I was on it every single day and was really true to it. And now I'm in a different season where we have a very high referral based business. I don't necessarily enjoy showing up on it every single day. So I don't. If I want to get on it, I get on it. I don't show a ton of behind the scenes of my personal life, because that's not the wife and mom I want to be, and Instagramming our whole life. But what I have found is that when I do show up, I always want whatever I'm saying to at least transform or challenge somebody to think differently, and let them see that there is a way to be operating their company and living a different life than they currently are. So that's always the goal. So if you hear me talking on stories or do a social media post that has some type of content to it, it's always going to be very aligned with my mission.
I love it's about creating intentional content for me. It's about, and my clients, it's about knowing what you want to say and how that's going to impact somebody, even if it just impacts one person.
I agree.
Yeah.
All it takes is one person. And I think what people oftentimes forget is I will have clients fill out an application form and they'll tell me, I've been watching you on Instagram for 2 years, just waiting for the trend to be right. Or I've been on your email list for 3 years and you've always stayed so consistent and you've never had crazy launches or changed programs. And so sometimes we forget about that. And so when prospective clients or leads or people reach out to us and say like, thank you for that, or this is why I came to you because of the consistency, it reminds us to be innovative, but also stay true to what that main goal and our pillars are.
Yeah, I agree 100%. So one of the things that affects entrepreneurs, I used to say every single, but not anymore. I met one who said they'd never experienced imposter syndrome. At some stage of their business is imposter syndrome. So what are your methods to overcome this, or how do you respond to the bad days of being in business, the ones we don't see on Instagram?
So it's very funny because 3 years ago, I got asked to speak on a panel and they said, we want you to talk about imposter syndrome. I said, I've never heard of this. I don't even know what it is. And so she started explaining to me, I'm like, oh, okay, so like lack of confidence. Yeah. And she said, yeah, it's imposter syndrome. I'm like, okay. So I got up there and I really they started asking me questions. And I said, the best way I can break it down for any female business owner sitting in this room is identify the areas that you are unsure of and really start deep diving into them, understand them, because it's going to make you a stronger business owner all around. And you didn't just start a business because you had no clue what you were doing for your craft. And so if you're somebody, let's say in the creative space, and you love web and brand design and you love the creative side, but you know the business side is very foreign to you and you don't understand the financials, you don't understand the P&L or taxes or things like that, it's not enough anymore to just say, well, I'm really good creative, so I'm just not going to focus on that, or I'll let somebody else handle it. You need to have an understanding. You don't have to have a very in-depth understanding, but you will start to find if you lean into the areas that you're unsure of, it will start to give you a level of confidence. If you have difficult conversations, that's going to give you confidence. All these little uncomfortable things that come with running a business, those of us who have a strong level of confidence is because we've been there and we've worked through it. We didn't just jump into this with that level. And so, whether you have to Google or you have to hire a coach or a mentor or, somebody to help you understand this, do it, because it's going to impact how quickly you can scale your company. And that level of confidence will come across to your clients and in conversations that you have.
And yeah, ignoring it isn't going to make it go away.
No. And sometimes, I was on a trip last week with my husband and we met some people and he started talking about something and I had no clue what it was. And I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Help me understand. Tell me what type of company is this? And sure enough, it's just where he lives in the world, they call it something completely different than what we call it here in California. And so once he explained to me what it was, I said, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about now. And if I wouldn't have asked that and I would have just not let myself be vulnerable and I would have just gone along with it, pretending like I know, the conversation would have gone completely differently. So allowing yourself to just ask questions.
And be wrong. It's fine. Make mistakes.
Yes.
It's fine. It's cool.
Yes.
People respect it.
They do. They do.
Yeah, they really do. And people love being asked questions too. So how do you use the influence of being yourself in your business, your true self?
I would say that pulling in that I am a mom, I have 4-year-old twins. I left a really great role to start this company and take a risk. And just truly authentically showing that it can be done. And I will say, I'm the first one to share, with my clients or on Instagram. Like, I do things that make my life easier. I have Instacart that delivers the groceries, or, I have little workarounds. I have a lady that comes to my house. She paints my nails and does my toes so I don't have to go to the nail salon. But I'm able to do that because I've gotten the company to a place where it is. And if I can buy more time with my kids and my family and not have to do some of these things, I just think that we've been embarrassed to ask for help or say that we're not doing it all. And I'm the first one to admit I don't do it all. But I did do it all at one point when the company wasn't at this place. So you'll go through seasons and be willing to, be vulnerable and say, don't try to be the superhero online for your visibility platform.
Because you burn yourself out pretty fast. And
Yes.
then you are the golden goose in your business. So you need to protect yourself energetically. You need to protect your time. It's so important.
It is.
So what does having an impact mean to you?
So I think that, so many people focus on the impact just being directly to the client or directly tied to the revenue. And I disagree with that.
Me too.
So for me, I would say, do I have an impact on clients? Absolutely. Where I want to have the biggest impact is to the causes that mean so much to me. To be able to donate at the drop of a hat when, things come up, or to charities and foundations we believe in, but then to also be a really incredible role model. And I have college, girls that come to me. I have my nanny that asks me questions about business all the time. So to really be able to lead by example, even some of the moms at my kids' school that have started small businesses in the last 6 months to a year, I always tell them, ask me anything, let me help you. And I think sometimes people are afraid to ask for advice because they're not paying somebody. And really, you should ask anybody advice that you can get in front of, because even if they just give you one small tidbit of information, it could change the whole trajectory of where you take your company.
Yeah. And I love that. Like when you're at parties even and people go, oh, you do marketing. What do you think of this? And they go, I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Yes.
And that's
Yep.
when you go, okay, right, great. Ask the questions, because there's a wealth of information out there and really talented people who are willing to share their genius.
I agree. And so remember that for anybody listening that has some level of impact. I don't care if clients pay you 20 grand for what you do. I think that there's a lot of meaningful conversations that can be had outside of our clientele that can have some of the biggest impact that we may never even know about.
And I love that. So what are your tips for all the people getting fearlessly visible in their businesses around the world?
Yes. So I would say one that I tell everybody is your network. I mean, it is the one thing that I don't think female entrepreneurs develop a strong enough network and a high level network. So I think oftentimes you jump into entrepreneurship and you start with like the lower brand new entrepreneur groups, and then you kind of you might outgrow them, but you don't know where to go. And it's a pay to play investment. But when you start surrounding yourself with like tight knit networks of women business owner or male business owners who are on the same level, and those 8 to 10 people know 8 to 10 other people that can email intro you, walk you into a meeting, say, I've got the perfect person to work on your website or be your marketing person. Those referrals and that network can take you places that no amount of ad spend, social media, any of that will ever do for you. And so I always tell women, you've got to get in the right rooms and you need to be in the right seat.
Yeah.
And so you can focus on that. And then through that, finding a mentor, whether it's paid or unpaid, that is going to help you see angles of your business that you are just not privy to, or you're just so far into the weeds that you're not seeing, because you need somebody else who's gone where you've gone to be able to guide you and kind of stretch you beyond some of those comfort zones. And you may say, I'm going to make $1 million this year, and they may challenge you to 2. Even if you end up at 1.5, that's 500,000 farther than what you thought you were capable of.
Yeah, 100%. I love that, your network, because there's the bolted on trust, and we're all in the market of trust. I love that. So how can listeners find out more about you and your work, Jessica?
Yes. So I am on Instagram at the Jessica Marx, and it's Marx is Marx, or you can find our website at thejessicamarx.com. And I love when listeners reach out to me in my DMs or shoot me an email and tell me that, like, where you heard me, where you were listening to, and if you have any questions. I'm a big voice memo person. So if you reach out to me on Instagram, I will voice memo you back. I'm more than happy to answer anything. So feel free to reach out to me.
Thank you so much for your time today, Jessica. It's been great.
Thank you, Jane.